It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Big thanks to Derek of Baker 6 Clan and our featured patrons, R and Juju, Boo Boo #1, Kitty Catch, Seaback Tribe, Curious KDB, Gene Hunter, Tham Gustafson, Glowworm 77, Bounce Bounce, Poe Ann, and our new patrons, Muddy Buddy 82, M and M from M, Ladybug Karen, returning patron Nitty Gritsky, B Genius, and Belly Dancer 2. And tonight I have a special guest host. She's been with us once before. So there she is.
Hey,
The
I am
chronically
special.
the chronically tired mom. She's no longer special. She's a regular guest co-host. Jesse is under the weather, so we're giving him a break. He doesn't have to be on, and he'll still get paid his normal fee of $0. And instead, Lanice is with us. So
What do I get paid?
Glad you're here. I'll send you a path tag.
Oh, okay. That works.
That works.
That's better than money in my book.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you again for being with us tonight.
Oh, no problem.
We've got an interesting topic, and we're going to jump right in again. Thank you. And it's an interesting topic. I think we'll have a lot to discuss tonight. So before we start into that, let me bring on our guests. So there they are. Hey guys,
how you doing?
What's up, Gary?
Good. So we've got Jamie Motorima.
Yep.
Did I say it right?
That's correct.
I think back in the day I said the Motor Rhyme or something. That didn't sound right. Motorima. And Jimmy, he's the angry guy.
That's correct.
He looks a little frustrated.
He's gonna be very angry tonight. No smiling, Jimmy. No smiling. I'm kidding. There he goes. he can turn it on if he needs to. No. All right. Let's first start with some news. So a couple items we want to talk about tonight. One is a reminder that we are in CITO season number 2, which runs from September 1st through November 30th. And you can get the cool CITO season number 2 souvenir during this period of time. So set up your CITOs. I know one thing that we talked about for folks this year was, since the year of the hide, we wanted to try to do, and this is something I've challenged myself to do, is to try to hide every type that I can that is available to me. And I've gotten quite a ways. I need an event. I need an earth cache to create. And I think that is it. No, letterbox hybrid. I got 3 to go, but I've done everything else. So I got 3 to go. But this is a good way to do sort of a combo. You can do your CETO event. So I want to do an event soon, and also do a CETO this year before the end of the year. So I don't know if that's something. Hopefully, everybody else is hoping to try to do. That was one of our challenges early in the year, was to try to get every one of them. So hopefully, I know. Is everybody? How is everybody's hiding going this year? Pretty good, or?
I hid 3.
Yay!
Well, which is not much. You know how I am. I'm very picky about them. I'm working
Oh,
on
yeah.
another one for spooky season.
Oh, nice.
I'm no Derek Baker though, so I have to kind of improvise just a little bit. But I was thinking about doing an event as well.
There you go.
Well, last year for my birthday was I went out to Hailmeister's event for the GIF. Was it the GIF
Yeah.
or the gift?
Yeah.
And it was on my
Yep.
birthday. I was like, that was really fun. That was one of the best birthdays I ever had. So I thought about maybe creating an event for my next birthday. I don't know. I just had too much fun. I don't know if anybody would come out to it, but
Oh, sure they would.
It's in November, so it's not really good caching weather. So, but I thought about it.
Yeah, do it indoors.
Could do that at my house. I don't know if anybody could care.
I've been to a handful of meet and eats instead of meet and greets. They're meet and eats. So anyway, those are something we as Geocache Talk Network, we're challenging everybody to try to get out and to do. Hey, Richard, he says he's done 5. That's pretty good. I'm okay with that. Definitely get out and hide some caches. And I did cache maintenance yesterday, which is not necessarily a lot of fun, but it was okay. I had the satisfaction of fixing some, and I had one that I went to. This is the other thing that's, I think, satisfying for all of us that hide things, is I had some DNFs like, nope, not there. Nope, gone. And some of these people have been around a while. I'm like, oh gosh, it's gone. Okay. So I get out there. Nope, it's still there. So I got to put the owner, put the cache maintenance, nope, right where I left it. It is a little tricky. I mean, obviously it's, it must have been somewhat tricky because some of the people had several fines, but they couldn't find this one. So anyway, I felt good, that satisfied that my cache was still there and I had hidden it properly and sneakily.
You're just that good.
Well, not always. So, but sometimes they can be good. Sometimes they're, I'm trying to up my game and kind of get rid of the ones that aren't the greatest in the world. So, all right. Well, let's continue on, and I got some beans to spill.
Oh no, Gary just spilled the beans.
So this year will be our 7th podcast of hope that we raise money for St. Jude. It's going to be December 3rd. So go ahead and get on your phones and mark your calendars for December 3rd. It's not going to be on a Sunday. It's going to be on a Saturday. And reason being, we really should have been doing them on Saturdays for a while now, because it goes till midnight, and this will give you, you don't have to be, worried about getting to work the next day, although you might work on Sunday, but we just thought it'd be best to move it to a Saturday. And one of the things we're doing this year, because we've had them on for a couple times now, is our friends Neil Moore and Craig Michelle and Jason, the Hailmeister, Jason Hale. They do a thing called Coins for Kids, and they are this year doing something really cool as part of our efforts to raise money for St. Jude. And so Derek, our producer, is going to show some pictures. There's the first one. That is a coin that Neil and Bob Billy got together and put together. for everybody. That's a big coin too, by the way. It's kind of hard to get the idea of the size, but that is a 2-inch coin. So a really large coin, and that will be available for purchase really soon. In fact, and there's the next one. There's See My Shells coin. I love it. Got his logo, got the Aussie Geocacher logo, and then there's Hailmeister's, which I love the logo that he does for his. And so those coins will be available, actual coins for kids. And so and they're large. I was using this as an example of the size, but it's not. It's larger than this. So it is larger than it's a 2-inch. This is a 1 3/4 size coin. It's actually a 2-inch coin. So it's a big, nice coin, and we're going to have them available for purchase. And the proceeds of that will go to St. Jude for them. We are going to have to the proceeds of that will go to it, minus a couple things. One is we got to pay back Semmels 123 who bought all the coins, so we want to pay him back. Also, if you are going to purchase off the website, we'll need you to take care of the shipping for that. But then whatever's left, none of it's going to Geocache Talk. All of it goes to St. Jude. We're just going to cover expenses. If you are at CoinFest, then these coins will be available, and you will be able to purchase them then. And then again, we won't have to pull any money out for the shipping and handling. So then we pay Semmels back, Ryan, and then the rest of that will go directly. After that, it will go. All that money will go to St. Jude. So I hope that's explained well enough for everybody. If you have questions, let me know. geocachetalk@gmail.com. But again, we're not taking any money out of it other than just paying for it. So, all right. That is that. Let's now jump into our topic for the night. This is interesting. We had Jamie and I had talked about this a little bit. Gosh, what's it been, Jamie? A couple months ago now, do you think?
Yeah, it's about 2 months ago when I was away on vacation with my family in Bethany Beach, Delaware.
Yeah.
And then Jimmy, who's been a good buddy of mine for a long time, texted me saying, "Did you check out the webcam there?" And that kind of started the whole thing.
Yeah. So the webcam that started the process of this discussion that we're going to have tonight is Bethany Beach webcam. And if you want to play along at home, and yet again, it won't come up on some, you have to kind of put it in GC49CB, like Citizens Band, if everybody remembers the old CB radios. GC49CB. It is archived currently. Again, we're going to discuss this tonight, but it is GC49CB, Bethany Beach webcam. And let's talk about this one for a while, and then we'll talk about some possibilities for the future. So Jimmy, you've been there, and you actually have your photo, but of course you can't do anything with your photo, right? You're at this point.
Right. There were two. There was one in Bethany Beach, Delaware, and another webcam in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So I was geocaching through Delaware with another geocache partner, Rudy Boo Boo, and we were in Rehoboth. We got that webcam, and then we went down to Bethany to get the other one, but then it was down, so we didn't. We detoured and went someplace else. then we came back. We looped around and came back again, and I did a little more research there on the boardwalk, and found an active camera. So you could be standing on the coordinates in Bethany Beach for the
Right.
webcam,
Right.
but it was a different link. But the reviewer had locked it. So when I got home, I reached out to the CO and the reviewer, because I could tell who the reviewer was because he had locked it and put a note in that it was locked.
Right.
So he never got back to me. And then when Jamie just happened to text me, he was in Bethany Beach. I said, "Oh, check out the webcam." And then he couldn't find it, blah, blah, blah. Finds out that it's, locked on lockdown. So he found it. And I said, here's the good link. So he went and got a picture, because I got a picture. Rudy Boo Boo got a picture. He got a picture, but we can't log it. So after talking to Jamie again, I again started reaching out. I reached out to the CO again.
Right.
I reached out to the reviewer again, and this time the reviewer, and I gave him the link to, like if he wanted to go in and correct the web page, I gave him the new link, explained everything, so it didn't have to be a back and forth. I gave him all the information up front. So that's when he got back to me and said, "Hey, it's still locked, and if I don't hear anything from the CO, I'm gonna archive it in about a month or two."
Right.
So then I said, "Oh, maybe there's another way to go about this, because if you can't get in, and I couldn't get the CO to change the link, I said, well, maybe I can get the link fixed." So I contacted Bethany Beach. It's BeachNet. It's Beach Webcams. BeachNet.net or something like that. So I actually spoke to Greg, the webmaster. Had a long discussion. I know a lot about webcams now, more than I ever wanted to, and he's going to try. But in the interim, when we were getting ready to do this little chat tonight, I guess you or Jamie found out that it actually has been archived. So now it's gotten that much harder. So if I got Greg to fix the link, maybe it just would have organically fixed itself, and the reviewer would have saw it was working again. And I think what happened with it, folks were taking selfies, cell phone selfies. So people were complaining, and I don't blame the reviewer. That's their avenue to do it. I just hope I wish there was a way, either a super review or a headquarters or a hotline, to say, "Hey, we can fix this. Here's a fix. You don't have to archive it." But don't know if there's an avenue like that. So that's why I actually felt I was getting further along with BeachNet.net, who owns the webcams, that they might fix it instead of with Groundspeak.
Yeah, something that we'll talk about here in a moment, which is there are some avenues, and this is the avenue we're going to talk about tonight is the avenue that any of us can take if we feel like that a reviewer is making a mistake. And I know everybody on this side of the show, everybody that's in the show right now has the ultimate respect for reviewers, but reviewers are human and they're interpreting guidelines. And I know that a certain reviewer sent me a note this week and said, make sure that you give out facts tonight and not wishful misunderstanding. And I thought, okay, I agree with what you're saying, but they're still guidelines, and guidelines are not rules, and guidelines have been broken, if you want to say it that way, by HQ, by others, if they feel like that it falls into line with what the sport that we all love. So there are ways and there are avenues, and we're going to talk about one of them, which is in the guidelines. If you want to look it up as you follow along with us tonight, if you'd like, it is 6.15 of the rule book, or the guidelines, as we know they're not rules, but they're guidelines. But 6.15 is an appeals process. So if any of us feel like that there's something that, and Jesse would tell you tonight, he's very familiar with 6.15. because he has many times reached out and said, I think that in fact his reviewer has told him, I don't think I can just go ahead and allow what you're wanting to do. And they've asked, actually, reviewer said, send this as an appeal to HQ and let's get an appeal process going to see if others would agree or disagree with that. But before we go any further on that, let me go around the room here and find out what are y'all's overall thoughts about webcams. Lanisa, you've not, have you done a webcam? I mean, you're kind of an area of the world. Go ahead.
There's not very many. No,
I know. I was thinking there weren't many. Yeah.
There's a few in Milwaukee, and there's one about an hour and a half from me, which is one I would try to get because it actually can get your picture on Lake Michigan.
Oh, cool.
But every time I've been there, it's been facing a street or
okay.
something, and you're so far away. You're like this big. I'm like,
oh yeah.
What is the point? I was like, I could be up there naked, and you wouldn't even know I was, or if it was me.
Right.
So what is the point of it? So that's now I looked up someone's. The only one I would be interested in doing would be the London, the Abbey Road, or the Munich.
Yeah,
those are cool. The ones around me are not worth going the extra mile to get.
Yeah,
so that's my thought on it. So
that's fine though. I mean, it's interesting. Most people that we talked this week said save the webcams, but I mean, your perspective on it is whether they stay or not. You don't really care.
Well, yeah, sorta.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't hurt to keep them, in my opinion, because a lot of people get into them. I'm just not one of those people,
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it was a street. What's the big deal?
Right.
Yeah.
What's that's interesting. We'll talk about, and I'll take a moment and shout out to all of our fans and brethren that live up in the New York area. So Barry's on. He says there's a Motorima guy on here tonight. He is on tonight. So, but yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Goalie here in a little while. So, but again, thank you, Goalie folks. We love you guys and gals, and it's great to hear about y'all's event last year, and we'll talk. Hopefully, y'all will be able to do that again. So, for you two guys, other than what is y'all's thoughts as far as have you had an experience with webcams, either positive or negative, and what is y'all's two's thoughts on?
I enjoy getting the webcams. Part of it, I've done a bunch of pretty cool trips with Angry Guy and Biggity Ben.
Right.
We've gone a bunch of places, and one time we were driving through, I think it was Omaha, and there was a webcam that I had already gotten, and Ben wanted, and I think Jimmy didn't want or didn't care about, so we kind of decided to not do it. And Ben has been upset about that since that happened. So ever since then, when Jimmy and I go somewhere, like I think it was 2 years ago, we went down to New Orleans and then drove a whole bunch of places, including was it Auburn campus, Jimmy?
Auburn. They have two.
There's like 3 webcams there.
They have two, I think.
We did it just to piss off Biggity Ben, because every time we got the webcam, we would send him a message saying, another one down. So
it's awesome.
So that really ratcheted up my love of webcams. It's really good to bother Ben.
That's good. Yeah, Caching New York says Ben is nuts. Yes, he is.
Yes, and we were on that road trip. We were doing a lot of miles. We were trying to do that challenge in New Jersey. That's a cache every hour for 24 hours.
Yeah, we want to talk about the two.
So the detour was going to take too much, and we had to catch, what was it, Jay? We had to get somewhere. It
was 9 states. It was 9 states in 24 hours, and a cache every hour.
So we couldn't afford crazy. We couldn't afford the detour, and Ben just doesn't understand time and logistics.
That's funny,
but he doesn't. So, and he's great. He's great in the back seat. He's searching.
Right.
Hey guys, there's one with 100 favorites. You want to do with the webcam? And we had to make a command decision. And I think I was driving and said no. So he complained for like the rest of the trip. So then the next trip we went on, he couldn't go. So we usually name our trips.
Yeah.
So the next one was the webcam trip, and we have maybe 4 or 5. We got a lot because I have 10 webcams, and I think we got 4 or 5 on that trip because there was 2 in Auburn.
We flew into. No, where did we?
We're not hating on him. Ben. We love him.
Oh, we love Ben, but
it's just so much fun to aggravate him.
Jimmy and I, before we even started geocaching, we go to a different NFL stadium every year. So that year we were going to go to New Orleans, but we basically turned it into a caching trip that and crammed in a football game.
Yeah, we went all the southern states, like because we went to Memphis up through all the way up past Georgia and up to Auburn, and then loop back around. The only state we didn't hit Florida because we didn't need it, but we could have.
Right. Yeah, that is cool. Those trips are so wonderful. We just got back from one. Our little group, we've always cached for a day together, but we actually took a trip to Austin, and so y'all need to. How about this one? Need a webcam event just for Ben.
Let's do it at Bethany Beach. Let's do it at Bethany.
Yeah, do it at Bethany. There you
Sorry,
go.
Ben, it's archived.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You get there, you're like, oh, sorry, Ben. No cash here, buddy. Sorry, no. But yeah, those are great trips. So, and the one I remember, and so you were saying, Lanisa, about what's the big deal. My experiences and the ones I've been able to do, there's always seemed to be they were tied with something. So there was always something around it that made it memorable. So one of them was Susan and I trying to get the one in Cheyenne, Wyoming, at the airport, and it was the old school. The camera moved very slowly, and if you had to be in the right place at the right time for the right moment, and there was no real way to really tell, because you looked on the page, it wasn't like it is today with so many of them that are which have the HT type webcams, and I'll pull up the one at Bethany Beach here in a moment, because it's high tech. I mean, but the old school ones, you had to wait, and it was kind of a challenge to get your picture taken at the right spot. And like you're saying, he's like, can you see you? You have to wait. You have to wave your arms, or.
I mean, from what I've seen, you're so small. You could just, say you were there and just snap some stranger's photo, but that wouldn't be very honorable.
No, there is a lot of that now that because so many webcams don't have, their owners aren't around, or the owner isn't interested in geocaching any longer or whatever. But there's still, though, that there's something about them. It's just, again, I've just had such great experiences doing them, because I've been usually with people. The one we did in Kansas was fun because it was part of a big day. And if anybody's ever tried to do a big day, you want to try to get as many cache types as possible. And I think that day I ended up with 12, which I know it's not the record. You don't need to write me about that, but still, it was a fun day. We got 12. And the webcam was part of that day. And again, it was like, it just was sort of a goofball thing where you stand there and you kind of crack jokes with your friends and you try to get the photo and then you move on. But,
people around you wondering what in the world you're doing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're obviously going away, right? So that so getting the icon is a cool piece of it.
It is.
So even if you get just one, it's kind of neat to have that icon. So
yes,
I think that finding a way to save ones that can be saved makes sense to me personally. I know a lot of people don't care, but I just think if it can be saved, why not?
Yeah. Somebody brought up an interesting point too, Jamie, in our little Facebook conversation that we had going. Somebody mentioned about accessibility, and something I hadn't thought about, but it's a really good point in that we need to try to preserve any geocache out there that allows for more accessibility for folks, because we need to have as many 1-1s like legit, and we've had folks on the show that are disabled and have some mobility needs, and so it's nice to have wheelchair accessible geocaches and to have legitimate 1-1 wheelchair accessible, or ones that are that allow for some accessibility for folks. So that was an interesting point that somebody had made earlier. But yeah, they're kind of going away, and I think we in our discussion before the show started, which was why. I know that Scott is in our chat room, GSMX2, and he said that it's not. His comment was, I think, the same one that I had heard, which was they're not in the spirit of the game. But now that we're further down the road from that initial comment from people that I've talked to, we got adventure labs everywhere. We've got virtuals sort of came back 1.0 and a 2.0. We've had virtual rewards given out. We had talked about in our network meetings that it would be great if HQ would do that kind of thing again, where they would allow for a reward type thing, where if you had a certain number of fines, the rules that they had for the virtuals, and they gave everybody a chance to put out one more webcam. But it doesn't seem like they want to do that. It seems like they really are kind of dedicated to getting rid of them, unfortunately. So
and what does that mean, not in the spirit of the game? Because if you think about it, with a webcam, it's hard to fake a webcam if you have to post a picture of you being there.
Yeah,
right? It's actually easier to fake things like an earth cache and some virtuals. So if in the spirit of the game, it can't mean no physical cache, right? Because there's other types of caches.
Yeah, earth
so
cache.
if the spirit of the game means you don't have to actually be somewhere to complete it, well, that actually has more of a strict guideline to meet than some of the other ones. So I'm not sure what spirit of the game would mean in the sense of a webcam.
Yeah, I agree. And so one of the things that the reviewer that contacted me was sort of, wanted us to, not stray from the guidelines. And so I want to bring up a case sort of like you would for a legal situation, which is precedent. There has been precedent, and I want everybody who's watching and listening and is not driving and doing this, but if you're able to, or you can look it up later, but those that are in the show right now, I'm going to put it in the chat room. I want everybody to look up this cache and look at it with me, which is GCM as in multi, 35N as in nature, GCM 35N, and I'll put it in the chat room. So this cache was brought to our attention. It's webcam. It's in Belgium. And ironically, it's a beach one too, Jimmy. So it's called Beach Paradise. It has been found a lot. been found 3,000. Let's see, what's the current total? 3,525 times. But if you look at it, if you look at the logs on it, you'll notice something, which is that it's been archived. In fact, I think it's been archived twice. If I read this correctly, there's a lot of, it's hard to scroll through it, trust me, because there's 3,597 logged visits. It's got it's got 562 favorite points, which usually, they always have a lot of favorite points, but it had been archived at one time and it has been brought back to life. Now, here's the other thing that we've all heard as argument against these, and which is that they don't have owners. Like this one doesn't have an owner. The owners is not around anymore. So that argument really doesn't hold up in precedence because this cache was unarchived and brought back. So
nobody's maintaining this or even checking it?
Nobody maintains it. Nobody checks it. But like we talked about, Lanisa, before, was this is sort of an honor system. And I think we all, and I mentioned before the show that a group of us were doing a virtual in Kansas. And we were all sort of looking at this, trying to figure this virtual out. And we did figure it out after, but I did bring up to the group. It's like, well, we can kind of put whatever we want because the cache already been around for like 10 years. And so it's like, we didn't, we did complete it correctly, but, again, some of these caches are literally on the honor system. Nobody's going to check them because person's not been around. Now, here's the thing. If you were to bring up this information, and people do this sometimes, I know, Jimmy, you were saying, like, why the person that found it back in like 2002 decided to comment on this webcam. We don't understand why, but if you comment on them and you mention, and again, we've talked about, or people mentioned too, about selfies. If you comment on things like that and you bring it to the attention of a reviewer, it's almost like they have to check on what you're looking at and they have to start the process. It's kind of if you don't mention it to a reviewer, they got enough to do. They're not going to go around. They're not going around hunting for things to archive, but you bring it up, they have to go through that process. So,
and it kind of ruins the fun for everybody then.
Well, it can, but again, many people would say, Lanisa, that it should be archived because there's nobody to check it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Nobody's going to nobody follows the honor system anymore anyway. Yeah. So, it's kind of it's an interesting point, I guess, as far as the guidelines are concerned.
Well, I was scrolling through a lot of these photos. Most of them are legit, webcam pictures, but some of them are selfies or pictures of their hand on the ground with holding a coin or something. That's obviously not a webcam picture.
But interesting though, Bell on the Move brought up this point, which he says that, and I've heard this before. He says I recur from a podcast. There was several potential lawsuits, questions related to webcams that HQ was concerned about. Concerning privacy, I don't know if that's actual issues. I mean, they've been around forever. I don't think it's nobody's, telling you to go do this. You're consenting. If you log a webcam, come on, you're logging a webcam. I mean, you're sort of giving permission, aren't you?
It sounds like implied consent to me. If you post a picture,
yeah.
That Belgian one though, did someone fix the cache page? Because I think I saw somewhere that the CO was deceased. So did someone did an admin go in and fix the cache page, and that's why it was on archive? Like, how was that accomplished?
Yeah. all I had was that note I sent you there, Jamie. As far as, I mean, you have to go back to like, you have to scroll back quite a ways, or if there's a way to figure out how to look at the archived logs on that one. Yeah, Tyva brings up that this is something that many people mention, which is selfies just seem wrong to me. It's not a webcam photo.
Yeah, that note you sent me, Gary, says that a reviewer did unarchive it and change the link.
Yeah,
in the cache page. So,
and they did both, which is they even not only did they unarchive it, they fixed it.
Right.
Which means they had to go into that cache and fix that cache page, which reviewers don't really do very often, I don't think. I mean, most times reviewers that I've worked with, if they say, I need you, they tell me, you know, whatever it happened to be. For example, I did one and I happened to mention a commercial business, and they're like, I can publish your cache. Can you go change it so that you don't mention the commercial? So they didn't go change it. They asked me to change it, which is fine, which I was happy to do. So I think it's interesting, though, that they did that. I know Dave and Karen of Cache Canada, they're in the chat room. They found Dave or Karen, whichever is because they use the same account. How many webcams have y'all found? I know they're like in the 70s. So, I mean, they're very familiar with the. They've done a lot. I know y'all found a bunch too. Obviously, you did 5 on that one trip, so you found a bunch. 85. There you go. I was close.
Wow.
I was close. I said 70. They're at 85. So they love them. But again, that I think there's precedent, Jimmy. I think you could, again, you could go to the webpage, and I want to bring up, or Derek might be able to bring it up. It's in the show notes, but I want to bring up the link that you sent me that shows the same link that is out there. Like you said, that it fixes the problem. And so again, it can be unarchived. We know that. And I would even mention Beach Paradise, that the other one, and it can be fixed even though the cache owner's not around any longer, because it has been done before. It does kind of come back to the argument, which is, does HQ, for whatever reason, want these to go away, and why they want them to go away? I don't know if that was a previous thought and now it's no longer the same thought. Maybe, I don't know. It's something to ask Brian. I know we'll have Brian on for Podcast of Hope, but typically we don't want to hit him up with things like that. That's usually more of a not really a time to get into a lot of the details, but usually that's not the night we do that. But we've had him on other times. We've asked him, and we'll ask him some tough questions, and he's willing to answer any of those. But I don't know. I'm wondering. People are putting their how many they found in the chat room, which is interesting. I mean, Cache the Line's got 37, and it just goes all the way up. 11 and 26. Barbara has 26. So, now that they are few and far between, Direwolf mentions he has one that's about 111 miles away. That's actually not bad. For some people, that's pretty close. It depends. We had one in Oklahoma that disappeared. So mine are down on the coast, for Texas. But I don't know. I don't know if Derek, you got that up, or I can bring it up. It's the web page is on there. Let me see. It's Beach Boardwalk. Yeah, that one. So we can, while he's looking for that, it's a really good looking webcam now.
Yeah, it's a live stream one. It's the HD live stream.
So here we go. Yeah, this is the Bethany Beach one. And of course, it's dark there now, but which you can't really tell, but it is. That's a really good webcam. It's hard to see because there's nobody walking, but if somebody was walking, you would see them walking like not herky jerky. I mean, it's a real time
Right.
like.
Well, if they fix the link on the other website that's in the cache description,
Right.
they don't have the band because they're an older website, so they don't have the bandwidth to do the live stream. But if they're trying to get in touch with who owns this camera, and they will just take the data and do a still every 30 seconds like they normally do because they don't have the bandwidth to do a live stream. But they would use the feed off of this camera. There used to be a hotel like when you're looking at this to the left, where they had installed the webcam, and that's the original one. And the hotel was torn down and rebuilt, and they got a webcam on the new one. But then the hotel was sold, and now that webcam's damaged, and they're having trouble with the owner giving them access, so they're kind of at a stalemate.
Sure. And with today's technology, I mean, with the phones we carry around, whether you're whichever kind you have, I mean, it is so simple nowadays to do a quick, capture, photo capture. I mean, even though it's not going to slow down, you could easily get a photo capture of yourself standing there.
Right, because when the webcams originally came out, you had to have a friend.
Yeah.
On a computer somewhere, and you call and say, "I'm at the site." They'd look for you and take the screenshot on their computer. You couldn't do it in your hand like you can now with a cell phone.
That was the other part, Lenise, that was fun.
You can read the clock. It's pretty good. You can read the clock on the webcam.
Oh yeah, right? And that's accurate. Yeah, exactly.
That's Eastern Standard Time.
Exactly. It's getting late that time. Yeah. So
it sounds to me, I got to give Jimmy credit because I would have given up like pretty early on.
It was a quest. And then when you were there, and I was trying to get it going, but I will try one last appeal with Groundspeak, and I'll keep working with the webmaster. It may just be.
But there's the issue of if you have like a cache page with a wrong link. But Jimmy, you're going one step beyond and trying to get the link fixed. So if you got the link fixed, you wouldn't even need to change the cache page.
Correct. The CO could stay retired and incommunicado.
Exactly. So I'm going to send an email again, very nicely, without any vitriol in it at all, but I'm going to send an email and say, hey, let's bring this one back. I mean, let's not. There's probably plenty of them out there that are sort of beyond repair, beyond help. I mean, we all know that it's not any good if there's no webcam there, and we've seen these, like you guys talk about. We've all seen these type where people just take selfies because they don't know. I mean, there's nothing else you can do. There is no more webcam. Webcam is gone, or webcam is pointing, nowhere to be, where people can even get to. There's a lot of reasons why a webcam might get removed. I know some people in the chat room mentioned about bringing them back and letting us put out good webcams, ones that are, the giraffe one I always think was somebody mentioned earlier, the giraffe cam. I don't know, Lanisa, you're familiar with this one, but there was a public webcam at the when it was not the Denver Zoo, it's a zoo in Colorado, and you could go stand with the giraffes behind you and you get a photo. So I mean, I
would do that one. That's fun.
Yeah. Does that sound like fun?
Yeah, it does.
There's one up in Niagara Falls where you get your picture and you get it's like it's got a special backdrop that you can do. I mean,
that one's currently not working because you have to get in. You make a postcard. That's what it's a machine inside, but people are outside taking selfies, and they're going to get that one ruined too because they don't get inside and they do a selfie.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly. But I think that there are a lot of fun ways to have. There's one in Hawaii up on the, way up by the observatory. It's, you have to wear a parka and gloves to be up at that altitude. I mean, you're up, over 9,000 feet, and it's really cold at that little section of Hawaii. But again, it's one of those fun things that you get to go to. I mean, it's, that's the point, isn't it? Geocaching is supposed to take you to fun places. And
Jimmy, didn't you mention there was a cool one in Buffalo that we got to go to? It's like in a power plant.
That's the one that he just mentioned. The one it's at
Power
Niagara Falls. It's at the power plant in Niagara Falls. But you have to get inside. It's like a coin op machine where you make a postcard and you have to post the postcard.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
That
stuff.
sounds fun too.
Yeah,
that's the main one.
Yeah, there's a Colorado Springs one. Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. It's like, geocaching. You find good ones, you find not so good ones.
Well, the webcams around me, I don't know. The one I saw was like the pill bottle of webcams. So
yeah, Marcellus brings up the one in Evansville, Indiana, the ghost watching cam at the library, which I actually got a picture. In the book I did, the 201 book, I've got the 20 about the webcams, and I got a picture, and you can get a similar picture, but it's freaky, man. It is. Here it is. It's hard to see. Let me try this. This is the one that Marcellus is mentioning. It's this webcam, and if you see the ghost, in that picture?
The little white
glowing, the glowing orb. Yeah, it's the number one webcam. It's called Ghost Cam Cache in Evansville, Indiana. Photos one. I actually took that photo. Live when I was getting this book finished. I actually took that online because you can go to the public webcams. You go to the webcam. You can go there right now and look it up. And
that's what I'm doing.
You'll get to see, if you want to look it up now, you will see the glowing orb in that library.
Weird.
I know. Isn't that great?
And I would love that. I love anything spooky, paranormal, so that would be fun.
It's crazy. GCA4C4, in case you're wondering. But you go through this list that I put together, these webcam caches, and there's a lot of fun in these. There's a lot of there's the one in Mississippi State where you're supposed to foon. There's the picture. To get credit, you're supposed to do the foon thing, which cache the line. Jeff would appreciate the bulldog cache. So anyway, all right. I want to wrap up discussion on this because I want to talk about some other things. I guess let's leave a final thought on this for a moment. I do want to give the Goalie folks a couple minutes tonight. We have been talking back and forth. We talked back and forth last year. In fact, we decided on Cache Fest week because we coordinated with our brethren up in Long Island because they wanted a certain week, and it worked out. It really worked out best for both of us. So we picked the same week again. But Jamie, what's the current possibility of another mega next year?
There's a group of us that are definitely planning on doing it again. Myself, Biggity Ben, of course, who co-founded the Geocaches of Long Island with me. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
She's on.
Andy, CP590, Matt, MJG 231. We're all on board with planning it again. We got some good feedback on the last one. We had immediately sent out a satisfaction survey as soon as it was done, and we got great feedback, both good and bad, what we could do better, what worked. And a lot of people seem to really like the event location, which was a kids' day camp that we rented.
That's so
So
cool.
it had like a zip line in there that people could use, and it wasn't a typical like very large field. It was, you kind of had like a path going through it and had different locations. And I think we did a good job of setting up different gadget caches all over the place.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get that location again. That place has asked, they want to wait until October to talk about price and see if it makes sense and figure out a date. So we're definitely on board with planning it again. We may change the date. I'm not sure if it's going to be in July or maybe it'll be another time. It's not on the scale of Cache Fest, which I'm sorry I missed. I heard it was a lot of fun. Hey, but
doing it again, so you can come that one. Come the next one.
And it's not on the scale of going caching or anything like that. But
that was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed going caching.
We try to be a little different. We try to have some fun, and I think it was good. There's some stuff we learned from. So yeah, we're going to do it again. We're going to try to do it
awesome.
Again. Yeah.
No, I was so glad, so happy to hear that you guys really kind of a third time, because in essence though, Brian's visit was kind of, to me, kind of was an impetus. Well, I mean, you all know we're kind of want to do something like that, but having Brian come do the event was kind of fun.
We got lucky the past 2 years that the event coincided with Brian. The first year we did it, we worked with Brian on it. The second year we got lucky that Brian was able to come. I can't say that, Brian is not like a part of the event, and he may or may not be there in the future. Hopefully he is, because he's a very generous guy with his time. He talks to everybody, shakes everybody's hands. He's a lot of fun to have, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. I hope that works out. Some people asked us, and I need to put, people have asked about why we picked July for Memphis, and I kind of feel like I need to justify why we picked it. I don't have to, but I think I'm going to put a comment or put an announcement on the mega page, because people are like, why are y'all doing this? Why, well, it's not easy. Number one, it's not easy to necessarily pick. I mean, y'all know, you've already experienced this. Picking the right weekend is not always as easy as it sounds. I mean, everybody just goes, oh, we'll do it in September. Well, that's not that easy to say. We kind of wanted to do, we wanted to focus on something that was very, very family friendly. We were very, very committed to making sure that it was, in all of our events and all the side items that weren't part of geocaching was family oriented. Well, kids are in school. We didn't want to do it during the school time. So, which narrows your field of time. You have to either do a break, and the breaks obviously are all staggered across the country. You don't want everybody having the same break time. So we narrowed down, and then you got to deal with when is the location available? When can you rent things? When are people even available? And then you don't want to jump on top of somebody else's mega, so you got to fit them in, because a lot of them are already scheduled. So there's a lot to think about. And when we basically boiled it all down, we kind of said, well, that date's still available, and we did it last year on July 15th. You can't plan the weather, and come on, geocachers, y'all are tough. You can handle it. So
one challenge. I'm sorry, Gary, but one challenge was that we rented the location, and we could only go there when we were escorted by the staff. So we had only been at the location 2 times before the event. So we had to plan things like adventure labs and where the food truck was going to be, with only going there twice. It was challenging. I mean, we have an awesome team that worked on it, and Allie organized volunteers who did awesome, but it was a challenge. so one of the reasons why, if we get the same event again, now we know the layout and we know exactly how it all works and how it flows. So I kind of feel like we can take that event and make it even better. So I'm personally really hoping that we can figure out that location again. And like you said, the week, oftentimes it's dictated by where you're going, not so much like I could say I want X week, but it doesn't mean that it's available.
Right. Right. Exactly. I want to have you two guys back and talk sometime about the 24-hour challenge. I want to really dig into that because I think it's fascinating. We actually talked about that last week in our little group. If we were head down to Austin, we did Necropolis, which is kind of a crazy story in itself that we'll have time to tell you, but an interesting cache that's a multi that's kind of the final's still there. So that's again another story. But I want to hear more about it because we were talking about the 24-hour challenge, like, well, it's on the honor system, right? Nobody knows. But I think is there some way that you can log them in such a way that the time
we took screenshots.
Oh, okay.
Right, Jimmy? We took screenshots.
We took a photo of a cell phone with the clock and the log.
Oh, cool.
So then I made a collage photo of all 24 of them to show it, and we posted that with our. Did you ever log it, Jamie? I logged it. No. After that, I went and logged it. Like I wasn't gonna let that get archived and I get the log.
No, even Bethany Beach. I go and getting prepared for tonight. I realized I have information for 3 Earth caches on Bethany Beach that I never logged.
You gotta log them. Yeah, in fact, Jimmy, you're right. I've seen that. I'll have to find it, but I got a photo of that. That's the one I used in the book, which was that very thing, is to make a collage. And that's a great idea. But yeah, I want to talk more about that because I think it's a fascinating.
Started out as a dare, right, Jamie? We were like, then we did the second one, and we said, "Are we really going to do this now for the next 22 hours?" And we did.
They usually? That's right. They usually start out that way?
Jimmy typically drives, which is great, but you could lose your life in any minute because he drives at like 100 miles an hour no matter what.
Sure.
But for that, it came in very handy because we could talk about it next time, but it came in very handy because we found ourselves thinking that we blew it in hour 22 because the next cache was an hour and a half away.
Mm-hmm.
But we were just in a bad time zone. Like our phones weren't working properly. So as Jimmy raced across something I don't think we were even allowed to drive through.
This back dirt road in Oklahoma somewhere. And it was awesome. We should have had a drone following us because you just saw the dust trail behind us as we shot across middle of nowhere. It was like it should have been. It was like it was a movie scene.
Yeah, and we made it. We made it with like 10 minutes to spare. It's a fun story. That
awesome. No, we're gonna do that. So everybody, stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're gonna do that show in the future. So all right, let's wrap up. Everybody, let's give our final thoughts on this and maybe all the webcams. And Lanisa, you don't have a webcam yet, do you? You don't have any?
No, but you convinced me to
talk to get one.
Yeah. You made it sound a little fun.
Try to find one that you want to do. Take a look at the photos. Yes. Maybe you'll find one that I'm sure the kids aren't going to be real excited to be saying, "Hey, we need to stand here and get a photo." No. They're going to be like, "Mom, we are not. No. We're not." You have to kind of bribe them.
My little one, yes. No, my teenagers, they're not going to give a flip.
They're not going to. Well, that's also for another show. I'm sure there's ways that you've learned to coax them into
bribery.
Right.
Yeah.
Flat out.
Not the only way.
Right. Jimmy or Jamie, when do y'all go next?
Where do we go next? Oh
no, I mean,
I'm going to follow up with the appeal process and
cool.
I'm going to stay working with the webmaster and see if I can get the link fixed. But awesome. One thing I would say is don't do selfies. It's worse than saying I forgot my pen.
It really is. It's almost like
it's kind of like saying I saw it in the tree. I can't reach it, but I'm going to log it.
Right. That's a very good point, Jimmy, because that's like screaming, "Hey, this cache needs to be disabled really quick and archived eventually.
You force the viewers to do it. They're just doing their job. I'm not getting on them. They just because it's being abused.
Yeah.
And I just like to say I'm impressed with Angry Guy's dedication to this cause.
Me too.
And I think part of it is because he moved to the world's most famous geocaching county, which we all know, Berkeley County, West Virginia.
Yeah.
So I think that there's like superpowers that go into the geocaches there, and I think that's where he gets his power from. That's where Jimmy gets his superpowers from.
I agree.
It's in the water. It's in the water, along with a lot of lime and minerals.
And I've been trying to convince Jimmy to create an account named WV Jim and hide really crappy caches all over the
It don't tell anybody. It put little snide remarks about Tim in there. Yeah, about West Virginia Tim. That'd be funny. Like, that'd be mean. But yeah, actually, he'd laugh at that. But if they weren't really serious, but so
also I'd like to say thanks, Gary, for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Definitely. Hopefully, gets the word out.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Thank you guys, and definitely a call to action to everybody who is watching. Obviously, we have a lot of listeners, a lot of podcast listeners. Thank you, podcast listeners that are all over the world. I'm just amazed when I go look at statistics of folks that are listening. They're literally all over the world, which in many countries, and I'm so grateful for those. I'm just thankful, and if everybody would just send a quick note to HQ and be respectful, or send it to I would say send a note, and again, just tell them we want to save the webcams if you're interested in helping save the webcams. So that's kind of gonna be my final thought. We've had fun and good experiences doing them, and I think that we should keep them around a little bit longer. So thanks everybody. Thanks for all the listeners and all the people watching tonight, and we will see you guys next time, and for that we'll say good night. So good night, everybody.
Thanks.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comments at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.